Okay, so if you're following along, the last thing that we realized was actually that if we look at our console here, or we look at console for Firebase, I can see that this user only has one published recipe. So what that means is every time I add a new recipe, instead of creating an ever-expanding array of all my recipe IDs, it keeps replacing the only recipe I had with the new recipe ID that I just created. So that's because even though we put an append function on the string, on the array of strings that have all the IDs in there, we weren't actually updating it with the new information once that had gotten updated. So on the database, we weren't updating it locally so that we could add to the end of the new array. So the best thing we can do actually is we can say, upon successfully logging in, if we actually look at login over here, let's look at login view, and then let's look at right here. So we want to find the user default section. User default, okay. So we have the save user defaults function that we had created, right? But we also needed to find the other one, so that's the load user defaults. Okay. So save user defaults. The other place where we used it, where we did the load, was right here on the login view. Okay. So we said if let remembered user, and so it's checking to see if we have a remembered user. And if we do indeed have a remembered user, then what I want to do is we'll say initialize underscore we'll say listener. We'll say listener underscore current user. Okay. And that's a function that we're going to declare in a second. Okay. So I'm going to go over to the global environment. Okay. I'm actually going to go. I'm going to go inside the global environment, and I'm going to create this new function called exactly that. Okay. So right here, I'm going to copy that, and I pasted a bunch of code right here that we'll talk about. Okay. It's from a different project that we created on my channel. And then we're going to modify it to fit our needs here. Okay. So we're trying to add a snapshot listener. So let's look at all this code that I just copy and pasted in here. Okay. So I'm doing the same principle. I'm saying firestore.firestore collection, and then what I need to add a snapshot listener for is actually users slash self.current-user dot established ID. Okay, and add snapshot listener. All right. And what we'll see here is, get rid of this right here. We'll say if the we'll say if documents dot count is greater than 1. Okay. We'll say if it's less than or equal to 0, then we'll print no users found with. Actually, to be honest, we don't even need to do that. So we'll just say print error processing data. Actually, we don't even need that. It looks like the error is already handled up here. So realistically, if we didn't have any error, then we just need to go ahead and set up the actual update. So we'll go back to the login view, okay? And if you remember, we actually have this right here. We just need to come here and grab that. So we'll grab here for document, and we'll take everything from that function, copy it, we'll bring it over, and then we'll just say, instead of that 4, I'm going to get rid of that bottom one. I'm just going to say let document equal, and then it'll be query snapshot dot documents 0. Okay. And then right here I can change this just to say self.current-user. We don't need any of this gunk down there. So now we'll get rid of this one up here. So now what we have, if we look at it, go to the top, just says let document equal query snapshot dot document 0. Okay. Well, it looks like we already have that right here. Documents 0. Okay. And then we have the print just so we can see what we got. And then we're going to set the user equal to the new data from the listener. So if I save it, let's say, well, here we'll just say print new information found with listener. Okay. And before we run it, we need to change this to say document, okay, because we need to actually add a listener to a document. And we need to fix the path. It says users / all right. Yes, so a couple other pieces. This needs just to say let document equal query snapshot else, and then we actually don't need that anymore. So it'll just look like that, all right. And then dot data. Okay. So if we come here and we say document dot data, okay, we'll say if let data equal document dot data. Okay. So data like that. And we can set that. We can move here and write data, or you can say this data. Everywhere we saw document data before, we'll just fix that as well. And then the last piece here is actually that should be good actually. So we can run it. We can see what happens now. So there it is, okay? We can actually see that there is the document data. That worked out perfectly, all right? So now what I need to do is I need to add one more piece. So if we got into the part of already getting to this data, I'm gonna re-indent everything, okay? So I'm gonna scroll back up to the top. And then if that is successful, then at the end of that, we'll say save user defaults. What we're doing is we are just executing this function up here that saves this locally permanently. So in case the app crashes, we have the most recent set of data we found, okay? And if I save that, what I should find actually is that if I come here now and add a new recipe, this should work. So I should be able to actually pick a new photo, add a new recipe, okay? Maybe this time I'll pick this photo, I'll say done. Add an ingredient, let's say 1 cup of flour. Okay, actually I'll say one tablespoon of flour, okay? As a step, we'll just say sift flour very gently, whatever. We'll click plus. If I hit submit recipe, so I successfully took care of uploading everything, but notice I actually even got to execute this new information found with listener. So now if I run over here, sure enough, I now have 2 recipes set. So that worked out swimmingly, okay? So last piece I want to fix up in here is I want to go to the new post view, all right? And where we had the image right here, so previously we said for every image, upload a new image, okay? So what that means is that I need to be able to go over here and say, well, let's just make sure we got this right. We had a function up here that needed, okay, so this is what was important. I need to make sure action to complete was based off of the number of images. So I'm gonna come over here and I'm going to say, let's just pick a couple more images. So I'm gonna pick all these images. I'm gonna say done, and then I'm gonna submit the recipe. Okay, recipe submitted. And there's my 3rd recipe. And just to make sure that I actually got all the images, let's look at the storage, okay? So I should see 3 images with A3, A4, whatever, okay? So if I go to storage, okay, and I should see A3, A4. Well, we only have one image with that name. That's because we keep naming them _0. So from what I can gather, it's actually overriding it over and over. So what we need to do realistically, what we actually need to do probably is to come here, and if you look at one thing we're missing in that function is this needs to say underscore and then I. Okay, so that way it changes the number every single time. So if I rerun this function now, okay, let's see what it doesn't like. Let's run this again, make sure we didn't miss anything somewhere else. We must have made a change somewhere we didn't like. Let's see, check success. Yes, okay, that was an accident, something else I was testing. So, like I said, we're going to go back to where we were and make sure that this says I, using string interpolation there. We'll run it. Okay, what we should find is that it'll let us upload as many photos as we want, and we should see the numbers actually shifting as well. So, come here, say add recipe. And then also notice, we were working on this earlier, look, now it knows that I have 3 recipes, so actually I can come over here now. Let's create a 4th. Okay, let's pick a couple random images. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, add an ingredient. I'm just going to say like 1 pinch of salt. Plus, submit recipe. It's uploading all these images. All right. First of all, look at that, 4th recipe. That worked out well. Then I can come over here. I already know that this worked if I start seeing images with an underscore different value, like _1, _2. Do we have any of those? Right there. So F17BA803, and yeah, it was just uploaded right now. So that's it. I mean, that is proof that this works. Now we can upload multiple images. Now it keeps track of how many recipes I had, and it keeps the user's local data updated constantly. So we can look back here. That was kind of what I wanted to do today. So I need to update the local information. We just put a listener. It took care of it all the time it's checking. And we need to clear the add new page every time the user adds a new page. We'll take care of that in the next video, all right? So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.